Hey, good morning, everyone. I just tried to make a video about the New World Order, and it got erased, and so I don't know what's up with that. So I'm trying to make this live stream, see how this goes. So yeah, I was just basically ranting. I've been watching a lot of Eric Dubay and Odd ODD TV, and they've just been breaking down a lot of different things, like the falsity of the common narrative of what religion is and what it's actually telling us, the public education system, the government, the fiat currency, poisonous food. Guys, we're in a certain situation here, and on the physical, worldly level, the practical, day-to-day survival kind of a thing. On the spiritual level, I'm not worried about any of this stuff. We're infinite beings of some sort, probably out of description, or God Himself having human experiences. But in this human experience, there is a small group of people that have figured out how to manipulate, control, and get the rest of us to do a lot of slave labor. So let's say you're interested in something and you pursue that and you start your business or you create your product or your service. It's all good. I'm not saying anything wrong with that, but a large percentage, unless you know how to dodge taxes, goes to taxes. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with taxes necessarily, because we need roads and highways and these kinds of public services. But how much of the money that we actually put into the tax system goes to providing those actual services that we're supposedly paying for? And how much of that money goes to fraudulent activities that none of us would pay for if we actually knew that's where all of our tax money was going to? Okay? So, one of the biggest I think the biggest business is firearms in the world. So, and then number 2 is like alcohol and tobacco. Pharmaceuticals is number 3 or something like that. So this is our world. This is what sells the most: is objects to kill other things, people or animals, poisonous liquids that invite spirits into you, so you do stupid things. But I was drunk, right? Everybody says I was drunk, so sorry I raped you, I was drunk. Or sorry I crashed into you on the highway, but I was drunk. So all these things, it's okay. It's an excuse as long as it doesn't go past a certain point. Car accidents, murders, rapes, these kinds of things. Then everybody gets upset, right? But when you lie, when you get angry over nothing, uh, uh, when you're just confused about things because you've had so much alcohol saturating your brain, that's all excusable because you were just drunk, right? But that's a legal drug. It's a poison that is legally allowed to be consumed in most countries, right? For a time it wasn't in America, but now it is. Tobacco's legal, probably ceremonially used. It's a great thing, but when you put all these extra chemicals that make it extremely addictive and people can't stop doing it, let alone nicotine is addictive, most likely, okay? These are the biggest industries in the world, okay? And also, we know a lot of money is spent on other drugs. It's just not on the books. So who knows what the cocaine market and all these opiates market is? Because what are most of the pharmaceuticals anyway? They're opiate painkillers from opium, you know? So Vicodin, I don't even know all these different ones anymore. Who cares? All these different painkillers are opium derivatives, and that's why we take over places like Afghanistan, or we try to anyway. Those guys are tough, seems like. But that's why we take over places with the oil, because we want it for the cars and everything. Even though batteries seem to be better to me at this point. The educational system is teaching us to be very specialized in extremely minutiae fields, so that no one really has an understanding of overall pictures and bigger principles here. So it's very easy for people to just go along with the propaganda. There's a clip of George Bush saying, you have to catapult the propaganda. In my line of work, you have to say things over and over again to really get the propaganda to sink in. Okay? So they use these repetitive, hypnotic, trance inducing patterns of light and oh hi, I can't say your name, Quarantine Girl. Oh, there's Jolly Girl. There's people coming on. Cool. I've never done this live stream thing. What do you guys think? I don't know. What should we talk about? There's so many assaults against us right now, and I'm not trying to be paranoid conspiracy guy with tinfoil, but at the same time, I understand. Thank you. That's this is Robin Chance. She's a local artist on the island. She's does such amazing work. I think if you could paint a picture of God, that's what she or he would look like, personally. But thank you. Yeah. So, anyways, like this painting, the Robin Chance. This is I've seen this. Okay, I've seen this on people that I know. Okay, in real life, I've seen that there is other dimensions. Um, where am I from? Originally California. Now I'm on the Big Island of Hawaii. Jolly girl. This is fun. So, anyways, I've seen this kind of stuff in real life, okay, and not just from psychedelic drugs or something like that. From fasting, water fasting will tap you into higher levels of consciousness where you're able to perceive wavelengths of reality that most of us aren't experiencing right now, okay? If you eat nothing but fruit for an extended period of time, you will see the world start to look like this. Yes, drugs. Do you know where drugs comes from, Jolly Girl? The word drug, the etymology of the word is from droga, which means a dried herb. Okay? So, because of propaganda, we have this notion that certain words are bad and certain words are good. And drug has become one of those bad words, right? Even though pharmaceuticals are supposedly drugs, but not by that initial definition where it's a dried herb. They're actually synthesized chemicals from dried herbs, from plants and animals and tissues and things, but they take what's called the active ingredient out and they have these factories that distill it down into a single molecule, and they put big piles of these molecules. Okay, on a molecular level, one aspirin has trillions of this single. Yes, I am pro cannabis, absolutely. More in the edibles, I would say. Yeah. Oh, you guys are both asking about cannabis. I love cannabis. I think edibles are the way to go. I don't think smoking is good for us. I know people say that no one has ever died from using marijuana, but at the same time, how could inhaling smoke possibly be good for your lungs, right? That being said, I do love that herb a lot, and I think the edibles are the way to go. It's much healthier for you. It opens your third eye, which is being calcified and fluoridated by the public water supply, toothpaste. This is the middle of our brain. And when this thing wakes up, you're able to perceive the world like Robin Chance's artwork. And you can see colors and patterns. And really, edibles don't work for you. Um, hmm. They take a while to kick in. I know that. It's not like smoking when you smoke and you immediately feel something within a few minutes. Edibles take like an hour or two to kick in. What I would recommend, if you're not feeling anything from edibles, is to resensitize your system. I guess this is my overarching message here in all of my videos, is to resensitize ourselves. And the reason is because we've become so desensitized to reality. And when you take drugs like marijuana, oh really? Bubblegum haze, I never had that one. When you take drugs, it opens your awareness to other states of consciousness, right? But it's temporary and you come back down. Yeah, I love the candies. But you come back down from all of these drugs. So what if there was a permanent way, a way to get to a permanently higher level of consciousness? How would you do that? One guy I really like is Nityananda on YouTube. I'm not sure everything he says is right, but he was saying that really the only thing you need to do for enlightenment is to have a clean colon. You know, so now it gets a little weird as far as enemas and things like that. Yeah, yeah. But what is a hallucination? You know, I don't know. I've thought about this a lot. What is a hallucination? You're saying you had some haze and you hallucinated. What is a hallucination? If there's such a consensus between when people do mushrooms, they have this certain, not the same experience every time, but within the spectrum of kind of a mushroom trip. And LSD gives you a different kind of trip. Ayahuasca is a little different. Have you guys tried Sapito, 5-MeO DMT? That's the strongest one I know of, and it completely breaks you through to realize that you are God. For real. Not as an idea, not as a concept, an actual experience. You get to see the truth, the fact that you are actually God. And I don't know how it all works, but it's some sort of game like hide and seek. Like it's a spiritual hide and seek that we're playing with ourselves. Because I think we just get bored as God. We can do anything. So we came down in these bodies. My shower curtain contains animals. It's a simple black striped curtain. Yeah, yeah. Yes, in these altered states, like for instance, this poster, in a normal state of consciousness, it's a pretty poster. But if you were to look at this in an altered state of consciousness, it actually becomes three-dimensional. The face starts moving, making facial expressions. It's absolutely holographic and three-dimensional. Right now, I don't see it necessarily so much like that because I'm not in that state right now. I'm back on the more of a mainstream diet and things. But I wanted to tell you guys, Jolly Girl, I don't know your other name, Corny, or it's hard to say. If you were to only eat fruit and water fast for a period of time, as Arnold Ehret in Rational Fasting, a Mucusless Diet Healing System, yeah, that's true. The whole universe is in every single speck of the whole universe. There is no, the center is everywhere. The oneness has no distance between itself and itself. Oneness is one. So you and I are one. The shower curtain has all truths in it. Every speck of the universe. Corn tea girl. How do you say that? Corny tea girl, Zen. Yeah. Yeah, so this state of consciousness where you can look at a shower curtain or an artwork or just a drip of water or an ant and be completely absorbed in it is the state of Buddha, where you've stepped above the intellect, Buddhi, and Datta is above. Okay, so Buddha is Buddhi with Datta combined. Buddha is to transcend the intellect, which is to say that we stop judging things as one or another. This is that, and that is this, and we just stopped all of that stuff, and we're just purely observing things. Corner is an instrument. What is corner? I don't know what you guys are talking about. Cornet? Oh. That's an instrument. Okay, I didn't know that. Cornet girl. Ah, that's it. Okay. Cornet. Never heard of that. I don't know. What else is there to say? I feel like I'm on a soapbox, like a small trumpet. Nice. Did you know? Have you guys heard of Alan Watts? He said that the word person, the etymology of the word person, actually comes from the masks that they would wear in theater that had a sounding trumpet, like a little cornet inside of the mask that would broadcast your voice. So literally, person that we all think of ourselves is literally the definition that used to mean a mask for theater. So we're walking around with masks, like as persons, as separate persons, ego identified as separate. That's the illusion. That is the illusion, but it's part of the fun. That's the hide and seek of this whole thing. Anytime doll. What does that mean? Huh. So, I wish there was a way to have multiple people on the video feed. Everyone wears a mask. There probably is, actually. Yes, everyone wears a mask. Yes. But it's fun too. I think the mask part is also fun. It's just like we're all playing that we're not God. We're pretending that we're something insignificant and limited, which is fun. It's part of the process. I think the reason that we do that is for the adventure of remembering again who we are. Remember who you are. But my point in making these videos is to get that across, that there is other states of consciousness that we all have access to. But we don't get to those states unless we do certain things. If you have cheese and dead animals and a lot of starch in your body, yes. But what are our limitations? Our limitations are the obstructions to the flow of life and energy and blood, just straight up blood. Did you guys know that by the age of 20, most people have 20% occlusion of their arteries, and 30%, 40%? Like, this is the standard of most people. If your artery, your blood supply to your entire body is clogged up, what is your experience of life in comparison to if it was all cleaned out and the blood was going the way that it's supposed to, just freely flowing? How would you feel? How would you think? How would you sleep? Everything would be better, right? Gansfield method. I haven't heard of that. What is the Gansfield method? I'm sorry. I need to sneeze. I don't think anybody can hear you sneeze anyway. You guys are funny. So anyways, but getting all of this obstruction out of our body, which is certain foods clog us up. Dead animals, cheese, and starch clog us up. Fruit and non-starchy vegetables clean us out. When you're clogged up, you can only think at a certain level. You can only experience reality at a certain level of consciousness. When you're all cleaned out, like really cleaned out from water fasting and fruit fasting, then you see this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of people in Hawaii that are into these kinds of concepts that we're talking about, and they are doing a lot of fruit fasting, water fasting, psychedelics, shamanic experience, that kind of thing. And there's a lot of people around here that are seeing these kinds of things. So I really appreciate where I am able to live at the moment, and I'm happy to be here. I do go back and visit family and stuff on the mainland. And even just going into Hilo, it's a small town, but you go to the grocery store and we're getting like bags and bags and bags of these plastic bags, and then there's plastic boxes inside and cardboard and all this trash, and we're all doing it. How long should do water? Oh, I missed the, I think you're describing the Gansfeld method. Chat viewing options. Yeah, I missed it though, it disappeared real quick. Yeah, I don't know what the Gansfeld is, and actually my phone is my internet where I'm at, so I can't really look it up while we're doing this. But Gansfeld, I'll check it out. Yeah, so Eric Dubé's got a really good video on the hidden messages in the Bible, and I grew up Christian, so I definitely tend to go back to that a lot because it's had a huge influence on me throughout my growing years and all this. But he showed verse by verse by verse, all these different verses, that it's an allegory. Galatians 4:24, it said, and all these things are an allegory. The story of Jesus and Ishmael becoming the Arabs and Isaac becoming the Jews and eventually Jesus, who's the savior of the world. It's all based on astrology, the movement of stars and planets. Nothing wrong with that. It's a beautiful story. But the connotation of mind control and behavioral control of like massive groups of people is not good. It's not healthy. It's taking advantage of us. And if we all just keep ignoring these things, we're just going to keep doing it and getting what we're always getting. And what is that? How many commercials do you see for depression? Right? If there's that many commercials for depression, that means there's a lot of people experiencing depression, right? And constipation. How many laxative commercials do you see? So nobody wants to talk about certain things, right? Because it's embarrassing or whatever. But if you're constipated, I guarantee you that you're depressed compared to if you were not constipated. And a lot of people, I have this conversation with so many people, and they're like, I'm not constipated. I go to the bathroom every day. I'm like, I understand. I hear you. But at the same time, have you ever looked at the sink, the drain under your sink in your kitchen, right? Yeah, everybody's used. This is the thing. What is normal now? It's normal to be depressed. If you're too happy, people think you have an issue. It's actually a psychological condition now. I forget what they call it. Like too much euphoria or something. If you're too happy now, it's like because everybody's depressed. Why is everyone depressed? What does that even mean? Depression is a lowered level, right? Depressed means down and lowered. What is down and lowered? Your consciousness. You don't see hope for the future. Things seem negative, heavy, hard, difficult, a pain in the ass, whatever, right? But when you have energy, When you're bursting with energy, then everything seems easier and more exciting and more interesting, and you're happier and you just feel good, right? So, do you want that, or do you want to just feel depressed like almost everyone else? At some level, there's a spectrum, okay? Not everyone's fully depressed where they're going to kill themselves, but most people are on this level and they're not really feeling a state of non depression, a state of elevation, a state of enlightenment, right? Ment is your mind. Yeah, Jolly Girl, I hear the BPD thing. I was diagnosed BPD by multiple doctors. I don't believe it. I think everyone is more than two poles, you know? But in this universe, it does appear that there's a duality. There's a negative, a positive, a black and a white, a male, a female, sun and moon, dark and night, whatever, whatever. But we're all of it. So what I don't like about psychology, which is like a new science relatively, right, is that it pigeonholes us into labels. Yes, Jolly Girl, you're every color in the rainbow and beyond the rainbow, and we all are, okay? We really all are. But what I think is dangerous about these levels, like BPD or schizophrenia or whatever, these kinds of things, and of course, it is a spectrum. So if someone is really far on that level and they need some help, I understand that. But how do people get so far on that level of BPD or whatever, narcissism, these kinds of things? It's because you're not healthy. Different colors, different shades, yes, and dimensions of what I notice. Let me say, I don't want to be just a parrot saying things that everyone's heard a million times on YouTube. So let me say some things I haven't heard anybody else talk about, okay, that I've experienced personally. And so what I've done is I did 3 weeks my very first time on watermelon years ago, and I started to feel like I was on LSD after about a week or so. Okay, I did it for 3 weeks. Then I did 6 weeks a couple years later of all kinds of fruit, water, 2 or 3 days on fruit, 2 or 3 days on water, back and forth for 6 weeks. And I went to levels that people that I've in the past experimented with some other things, and so I'm familiar with what that's like. And what I'm trying to get across to everyone, my family, friends, random people I meet in town, and YouTube, the world at large, is that there is a level of consciousness that they call enlightenment that is accessible to every single human on earth, but most of us are not accessing that level. And I myself am only at a certain point on that level at the moment, and it's much lower than where I've been at times. I did 3 weeks, 6 weeks, and then 9 weeks a few months ago, about 5 or 6 months ago. If you do 9 weeks is over 2 months, fruit, water, fruit, water, fruit, water, ripe fruit, not unripened fruit with chemicals all over it, you know, off the tree kind of fruit, which is hard to do in a lot of places. So, you know, I'm not trying to be too soapboxy here, but maybe you should move somewhere where you can get good fresh fruit, right? Because what I'm trying to get across, and I haven't heard a lot of the raw food people on the internet talk about this at length or at depth, you will experience something that's beyond description. I can't really describe it. I will try. But it is what they are talking about with enlightenment. Do you think the earth is flat? Yes, I think it is. I don't know for sure. I love meat, Jolly Girl. Yes, and you also just said you were diagnosed bipolar. So if you went into a psychologist or psychiatrist, that's a self-admission that you need help, right? Anyone that goes to see a psychiatrist ought to get some help, right? Like that's you're self-defining yourself as having a problem, needing a solution, okay? Why would you have, no, not bipolar? Oh, what's BPD? I thought that was bipolar. Yeah, I thought bipolar was, or BPD was bipolar. Anyways, whatever the condition was, you were not as happy as you know that you can be. So you went to see a specialist, and they told you this and that, and they told you to do this and that. Oh, borderline. Okay. Yeah. Oh, BPD. Okay. Yeah, borderline. I've had several borderline people in my life. I'm not sure what to say. From what I understand, borderline is an extreme version of narcissism in a lot of ways. Um, but what we're talking about is patterns of behavior based on probably trauma that you received as a younger person, and it's influenced the way that you perceive the world. And most of the research I've done, there's not a lot of hope for bipolar, or I'm sorry, borderline personality people. But that being said, hold on, scared face. That being said, they say that about almost all the diseases. There's no cure, but we'll treat you for it. Okay, so let's just take what they say with a grain of salt. I believe there's a cure for everything. You, jolly girl, are God herself experiencing your own creation as an avatar, and you're going through this adventure. So part of your adventure is to have this diagnosis of borderline personality disorder, wherein you feel constant abandonment, right? But how can you be abandoned by the one that you are? There's only one, and you are it. So by having dissociation, cutting yourself, and then seeking help because you want to get rid of it, is that good or bad? Oh wow, so this is getting deep. So I had a girlfriend in high school that used to cut herself, and I actually tried it myself because she said I was a pussy and I couldn't do it. So I cut myself a few times just to see what it was like. But that's the only like empathetic level I can do because I never had that issue myself. What I've heard from people cutting is that they can take control when they cut themselves, and no one can tell them yes or no. They get to do it themselves. You do get an endorphin rush when you're injured. So I don't know what the kitty means, but there is an endorphin rush, and any kind of hormonal or neurotransmitter rush is pleasurable for humans. So in dissociations not purposely. Um, Cornet girl, the dissociation. I'm not sure what. I'm not an expert on any of this stuff, guys. I'm just trying to wrap. I'm really glad you guys are participating. This makes it way more fun for me. So I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. I'm not pretending to be. But what I think is dissociations. What's the difference? Dissociations versus what do you mean? There's a difference between what? This is so cool. I'm like I feel like you guys are new friends. um, yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. Dissociations between what? I know dissociation is when you don't remember who you are, your name, the country you're from, that kind of a thing. And there are drugs like salvia divinorum that are completely dissociative. DMT is a dissociative. You'll forget who you are, your history, that kind of a thing. I'm not super familiar with borderline. Is that a dissociative thing? Doing it purposely or doing it during a dissociation? I think the dissociation, whether you're cutting or eating junk food or smoking cigarettes or any kind of activity that's not healthy, I think all of that is a dissociative act. Because if you were to associate fully with yourself, you would not do anything that's bad for yourself. You would take care of yourself. So all of these unhealthy things that we do require us to dissociate from ourselves. And maybe it's demonic possession, maybe it's mental disorders, maybe it's programming from ELFs, ultra low, or whatever it's called, ultra low frequency brainwashing antennas. The conspiracy theories are there's a lot of them out there. But what I would say from personal experience, because everything else is just speculation for me. 6 weeks when my emotions get too high, I go into dissociation. I'm not there. I get myself during it, so when I wake up, I can see the damage. Yeah, Cornet girl, this is serious. Your skin is beautiful, and it's not. You're not really. It's not healthy to cut yourself. I don't think you would argue that, and I don't think anybody would on purpose. But Rob, I'm assuming you had some trauma as a young person, and I don't mean to belittle that at all. I mean, otherwise, why would you do that? Um, I do feel for you. I'm kind of familiar with some mental illness in friends and family, so I feel for you big time. Um, what I would say is I don't personally, I think it's more of a male thing to think of solutions and a female thing to sort of emote and talk about the issues and get it off your chest. So both have their place. But as a male, I'm going to go ahead and think solution oriented instead of just commiserating and shooting the shit and just being there for you as more of a female thing. No, I won't, but I was talking about a decision because I have no control, and you were talking about doing it purposely. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. And then there's multiple personality disorder, which they actually call dissociative identity disorder now. So maybe there's some of that as well. Whatever it is, there's you're talking about endless rabbit holes that you could keep going down to figure that out and to try and like use your mind to get yourself out of a trap that your own mind has put you in is going to be almost impossible for most people. Okay? So, what is something that you can control? I'm sure you have, that's why you have BPD, is because of the PTSD. Like, you don't just, I don't think people just randomly get these mental disorders. Something happened to you and you got PTSD from it, and as your survival mechanism, you decided to view the world in a certain way, and people that decide to view it in that certain way, we call that borderline personality disorder. But I have hope for you and everyone. I'm completely optimistic. I think that you can come out of this. The solution is what can you control? If you can't control cutting yourself while you're dissociated, what are we going to do? Just cry about it and talk about it all day? Or is there a solution for you and everyone else? I think there is. I think there's something that you can control when you're not dissociated. And by controlling that, by taking control of that, I think this other thing will go away. Personally, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, okay? But I personally think that these other issues can be healed. New life can come in. Maybe weed is great, but at the same time, if we have a crutch, whether it's weed or whatever, what is my solution? Okay, this is going to sound weird, but I'm going to say it because I actually really believe it, and I mentioned it earlier. Nityananda talks about this. The only thing that you actually really need for enlightenment is a clean colon, okay? And it's not just your colon. Your colon is the final spot. Yeah, fruit and water for 3 weeks. That you will see something. But here's the thing, Cornet Girl, be careful because you can actually exacerbate things. The fruit is powerful and fasting is powerful. Yeah, it's an uphill battle, Jolly Girl, but the thing is, I don't think pharmaceuticals are the answer. I don't even think psychotherapy is the ultimate answer because ultimately you're just talking about the same thing over and over again and nothing's ever getting solved, right? If your colon is not empty and not clean, that means every other tube in your body is full of shit. I apologize for cussing. Sorry, I'm not sorry. We're talking about shit. Yeah, the answer lies within yourself. But within ourselves, we are all full of shit, okay? And I don't mean necessarily what comes out of your butt when you poop, but that's what it ultimately turns into. Every single cell in our bodies eats, breathes, and poops. Yes, shit. Okay, that's a vulgar way of saying it, but what we're talking about is metabolic waste from cellular activity of every cell in our body. Bones, muscles, brain, nerves, all of it, skin, all of it is made of cells. They breathe, they eat, and they poop, okay? And all the poops, yeah, doo-doo, doo-doo. All the poops from the trillions of cells in our body and the bacteria in us. Been through a stressful period and I couldn't eat or drink for weeks. I puked and shit my guts out for weeks. I was empty but not enlightened. Yeah. Okay, so Cornet Girl, there's I would really recommend Arnold Ehret, Rational Fasting. and he has another book called The Mucusless Diet Healing System, and he goes into details that I'm not able to express like he is. He's very convincing. Okay, so I'm trying to do my best to share some knowledge with you guys. So if every cell of your body is emptying into the sewer system that terminates in your colon, and your colon has stuff caked on the walls, yeah, like an old tube of toothpaste, then every cell beyond is backed up in its own feces. Every cell is sitting in a dirty diaper. It's like a baby crying, sitting in a dirty diaper that never gets changed, and we just keep eating the stuff that makes the diaper dirty, and we never get it out. Your body will get a lot of it out, but you pass a certain threshold, and your body can't keep up with what you're putting in. So if you have any excess weight whatsoever, and I know females are supposed to have a little bit more subcutaneous fat in the boobs and all this stuff. I'm not saying to be an anorexic or unhealthy on the other spectrum, but if we have any excess weight, that is toxicity. That is the body storing excess. So I technically fasted for 6 weeks, but like I said, I wasn't enlightened. Yeah, so I brought up Arnold Ehret from your other comment, and it pertains to this one you just made. Got junk in my trunk. Everyone does. I could show you mine too. Yes, we all do, and it's because we've been brainwashed to do things that are very bad for us on a regular basis. Yeah, I bet you did, Cornet Girl. The fasting and water fasting and fruit fasting are so powerful. You need to be very careful with them because you can die. You can go crazier. I know crazy is not a good word, but from fasting. So you have to be very careful with these things. They're extremely powerful. Okay, so it's good to understand the whole big picture, before you maybe jump in. I don't know how familiar you are with fasting and all these things. But it does take a long time to get the full, complete healing. And before we have the full, complete healing, we have several healing crises, they call them. And that's where, all of your conditions will get worse. You'll be extremely dissociated. I live in Hawaii. I'm almost always naked. Yeah, so that's what I was saying, to be very cautious, Cornet Girl, because it will intensify whatever issue you have when you're fasting. That's why you have to ease into the water very slowly, because otherwise it will exacerbate everything that you've got going on, and people kill themselves from fasting. So you need to be careful with it. 6 weeks is too long. If you've never fasted before and you just went on to an immediate 6-week water fast, to me that means that you haven't done your research about water fasting. You don't really understand. I would, but I think we'd get kicked off of YouTube. Anyways, you got me titillated though. I can't say that. If you were to get every toxin out of your body, and I have not done this myself, you would be at a level that I can't even comprehend. I have been very close. Yep. Well, Jolly Girl, here's the thing. I don't even know if you are actually a girl. You could be a dude saying you're the Jolly Girl. And I'll show you mine if you show me yours. Let's put it that way. Anyways. I've been on a level higher than I am right now, and higher than most every person I've ever met, because I'm really passionate about this. I talk to perfect strangers about this on the street because I've experienced something that I really feel passionate about. I really want to share with the world. I really want to get back on to my own program here. She's the most beautiful little black woman you've ever seen. Oh, you guys know each other in real life? Okay, cool. Or at least on the media. Right on. Sex is another one. That's a huge one right there. It's an important part of life, obviously, but I do think that it is overemphasized in the media. Yes, we're all birds of a feather. It's true. Yeah, we're sitting on the couch watching you on the big screen. No way, this is crazy. All right, cool. You know, I just erased all of my Hollywood off of my hard drive this morning because I saw Eric Dubay and Odd TV talking about how they're using subliminal messages to program us to think certain ways and to behave in certain ways, which makes us eat junk food and do things that are really bad for us, but it's the norm. Like you said, depression is the norm now. So if we want something different, we have to do something different. If we keep doing the same thing, we're going to get the same results. Expecting something otherwise is what they call insanity. So if we want something new, we have to do something new. And jumping from whatever your lifestyle is right now, Corner Girl, into, oh, you guys are in the same room? Watching the same TV, that's cool. I just realized that. If you want something new, you have to do something new. And jumping into a 6-week fast from never fasting, potentially, I don't know your whole history here, that's too extreme. You start with a 1-day fast. Do a 1-day fast many, many times, like over a year or two, and get used to just going 1 day without food, and then 2 days, and then 3 days, and work your way up. Eventually, if you read like the Essene Gospel of Peace, they talk about 1 day for every year you've been alive. I was going to take the bus? What does that mean? But then, yeah. Yeah. You know, everyone wants to be high. I was going to walk the dogs too. I like doing everything high. I think we all want to be high, and we've got our different ways to go about getting high, but the whole reason we're trying to get high is because we're not high already. Why aren't we already high? Hey, try this. You guys want to get high right now? Whether you're taking drugs or not, try this. You ready? Seriously. You guys might be the only people watching. Watch. Try this. Have you ever done breathing exercise? Just exhale all your air. All your air. Blow it all out. And hold it out until you really, 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 really want to take a breath. Try it. Hold it out as long as you can. And then when you really want to take a breath, take as deep a breath as you can, and then take an even deeper breath, okay? So I'm still pushing my air out. And now inhale as deep as you can through your nose. And then hold it. I feel instantly higher, just from doing that. And I do it every day, multiple breaths, not just one. But pranayama, breathing exercise, will get you high. And if you want to smoke pot, try it after you smoke some pot. You'll go even higher. But you can do it sober or on any drug. Breathing exercise, yoga, and fasting with education. Do fasting right, Cornet Girl. Start with 1 day and then work your way up to 2 days and then 3 days. Get in the habit of fasting where you like to go without food. And what that does is it resensitizes everything in your body. Like, I don't know what you experienced during your 6 weeks of fasting, but I know for me, when I fast, I can hear better. I can smell better. I can taste better. Everything gets heightened, all of my senses. My thoughts get extremely clear after, during periods you're going through a lot of detox, so there's heavy metals floating through your bloodstream, and it makes you depressed and angry and irritated and all these kinds of things. But then you do an enema and you get all that shit out. The room is saying, seriously? Yeah, I hope so. I mean, yeah, you're welcome. Check out pranayama. I was looking for my book here, somewhere around here. Pranayama. Let's see. This book is really good. This is for yoga. This is just like very thorough. It goes through the whole yoga. It's, the stretching, the breathing exercises, the sutras. But the Indians are so smart. They really figured out. Thank you. They really figured out how consciousness works. They've mapped it out. They're very strategic. Oh, let me show you here. Let's see. I gotta. Can you see that? It's kind of a rainy day. But normally you can see the ocean out there. It's really nice. Cows are out, and then that's up the hill. So, yeah, Hawaii's great. I mean, rainy days aren't. You don't see the same colors and things, but yeah, it's gorgeous here for sure. Set and setting is really important for psychedelics. I'm sure you guys are familiar, right? Oh, thank you. Where are you guys at? Nipples? Is that a place? Jolly girl, you're so horny. I love it. That's good. It's healthy. It's healthy. Um, oh, no way. Which one? Jamaica. No? I don't know. Oh, the Netherlands. Is that considered an island? I thought it was huge. Oh, yeah, yeah. You did say that earlier. Cool. I've never been out of the country, actually. Kind of lame. But I'm not alone. Most of the people from America haven't, so. Um, hmm. Oh, yeah, it is kind of, I've heard it's really gloomy up there, huh? A lot of the time. Saint Martin, nice. But she's from an island. Oh, okay. Nice. Huh. Are people really tall there on average? I've heard like the average height is like over 6 feet. Is that true? In Netherlands? Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, anyways, I don't know what else to really talk about right now. I was getting into the conspiracies a lot lately, but 1.76. What does that mean? Meters? Yes. Oh, centimeters. 176. Huh. Yeah, I think in inches and feet. What is that? 176. 2.54 centimeters in an inch. So divided by 2.5. Can't think. What is that? Yeah, it's like 6 feet, right? It's tall. um, the colder climates, it is typically harder to get fresh fruits and vegetables because they don't grow as well up there. Oh, 5'3". Okay. Nice. It's a good height. Um, Hawaii is beautiful. You can eat. Oh, 5'9". Thank you. 176 centimeters is 5. Thank you. I love Hawaii. I can eat so much fresh fruit. The weather's amazing. You know, it does rain a lot here as well, but there's plenty of sunny days in the middle. I think we're designed for the tropics. I think as an animal, we're designed. Yes, organic food is expensive. How about this one? Just as an overarching conspiracy for all of this stuff, isn't it really the Hunger Games? Isn't that what we're talking about? All of these different conspiracies? It's the Hunger Games. Everything we do in society, almost, if you look at it this way, is for food. Like that's why you go to work, is so you can have a place to put your refrigerator and to cook the food and a place to shit it out after you ate it and to sleep off, the food coma from all the food that you ate. Like, and that's why we go to work, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nowadays they do. We're lucky in today's world because we can import to colder places like Netherlands and stuff like that fresh fruit. That being said, is it picked ripe? Because there's a big difference between a ripe fruit and an unripe fruit. An unripe fruit has digestive inhibitors in it. So they actually inhibit digestion, let alone it's not mature, it's not ready to be eaten. And what they do is they'll pick these fruits unripe and then they'll put them in these big containers or factories and then pump ethylene gas, which makes them ripen, but it's not really ripe. It's not actually ripe. It's just. If you pick a fruit off of the tree that's actually ripe and you eat that, there's no comparison to something you get at the grocery store. It's on orders of magnitude higher. I've even You can even take a fruit picked off the tree the day before, and one immediately picked off the tree, and then eat those two, and you can tell a major difference just one day. And you got to think, a lot of the apples are like a year old. They were picked a year ago, but they can keep them from spoiling with, I forget what the gas they use, but they keep them from spoiling in these silos for like a year. That's an old ass apple. You know what I mean? As an example, compared to eating it right off the tree as soon as it's ready to be eaten, when it's perfectly ripe. I know you can't do that everywhere in the world, but we should be doing that for ultimate health. Everything else is less than. It's just the truth. So get the best that you can. The best water is the water you have, right? The best food is the food you can get. Yeah, I take the bus too. I ride a bike, take the bus. Um, public transport. I heard Europe's got really good public transportation. I wish America was better with public transportation. Yeah, you too, Corner Girl. Nice to meet you. Hey, thanks for the. Yeah, do your thing. Nice to meet you guys. That was really fun. Thanks for commenting. Have a great day or night. I don't know what time it is over there. Anyways, I'll probably cut this thing off anyway. Jolly Girl and Cornet Girl are taking off. It's almost an hour. I think we talked about a lot of stuff. It's really fun to have the feedback instead of me just monologuing here. So let me just recap in my mind everything that we covered here. Oh, it's 11? Yeah. Yeah, it's still, it's like noon here in Hawaii. It was fun. Thank you, Jolly Girl. I like your name, the Jolly Girl. That's fun. Um, so just as a quick recap, and then I guess I'll cut this live stream off. This is my first live stream. This is fun, and two girls, really fun interacting with you guys. But basically, what I wanted to get across in the video is that there is an agenda to keep people's consciousness on a certain wavelength so that we are easily controlled and we do what they want us to do, obey and consume, okay? But there are other states of consciousness that are accessible but are being obscured and hidden and diminished and pushed aside and, by the mainstream so that people don't even think it's real. Oh, wow, is it really? Yeah, the other side of the world, the whole flat earth thing though, right? Because, I don't know, the other side. Flat earth is really interesting too. Maybe we should do a separate video on that, but flat earth is really interesting. I don't know for sure one way or the other, but I'm very convinced that it's probably flat. Peace, sister. Nice talking to you. Yeah, you guys should come to Hawaii. Eat some fresh fruit. I'm trying to set up a retreat here to give people like a place where you can eat fruit off the trees, where you can take a break from the stress and all of the things that we have to go through to survive in the world today. It's good to just take a break, just like you get your car tuned up, tune up your body, clean out the pipes, look at alternate ways of looking at things, and maybe you might find, hey, I actually want to try something different because I like feeling this new way. So, the best way to learn a language is to be saturated in that language, go to that country, right? It's the same thing with these health principles. If you've got all of your temptations all around you and all the people trying to convince you to keep doing what you've always been doing, it's going to be harder to change. But if you can come to an area, a setting that is conducive to the change that you might want to make, I think it helps a lot. So that's what I'm trying to do here in Hawaii, and that's my overarching goal. But I've got a lot of work to do to make it happen. But yeah, maybe I'll meet you guys in person. You'll come out and we'll look at eggplants and stuff. Anyways, okay, I think I'm gonna cut this one off and not get into flat earth stuff today. So there are other states of consciousness. The mainstream doesn't want people to really access those genuinely, it doesn't seem, and that's to keep us in a slavery mentality. But I personally have experienced these other higher levels of consciousness, and I would love for everyone else to do the same, so that we can have an even better world. And the world is great already. So, anyways, I love you guys. Aloha, peace from Hawaii, and I will talk to you soon. How do you turn this off? Not sure how to stop. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yep. All right.